I am muted, so I'm trying to unmute myself. So it looks like we've got Morgan there. Morgan, are you good to go? All right, I'm going to bring you in, just making sure that we can hear everybody and everything is good. Do you have the document?
I do. I've just pulled it up.
Okay, good.
I'm ready to go.
Good, because I have some things I really, really want to talk to you about. Some very important developments in the storyline and a particular character in specifically in this episode. All right, so I guess we will, if we're already good to go, we will go ahead and get started, and feel free to drop your comments and thoughts about the My Adventures with Superman, I think, season finale. Drop them in the live chat and we will get to them.
McGurk! I love typing.
Not mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira. I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yes! Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And we are live and wired on the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and the Supergirl Radio Facebook page to discuss and review my adventures with Superman's 10th and I think final episode of Season 1 titled Hearts of the Fathers. I haven't been able to find any episodes past episode 10, so I assume that means that it is the end.
I think that's it. It felt very like, ooh, final.
Season finale-ish. So we believe that this is the last episode of Season 1 of My Adventures with Superman. So we are going to be talking about that and everything that went down, because a lot of things happened. A lot of really interesting bits that I'm very excited to talk about. But I think before we do that, we need to get to
the news.
The Flash movie is now available on 4K UHD and Blu-ray. Listed below are the full list of special features for the Flash 4K UHD, including, oh my God. All right. So there's a lot of them.
So it's a lot. We can maybe just sort of
buckle in.
we can sort of package them together, I guess.
Sure.
So some featurettes.
There's a bunch of featurettes, including Making the Flash Worlds Collide, Flashpoint, Introducing the Multiverse, Let's Go Nuts, Batman Returns Again. That one sounds nuts.
That's a terrible title.
Let's Go Nuts. The Bat Chase, Saving Supergirl. I added the question at the end of that. They didn't. I want to be very clear that they didn't add the question at the end of that. But I think that there should be a question, because did she get saved?
No, I didn't see her.
No. Other featurettes include Battling Zod, Fighting Dark Flash, The Saga of the Scarlet Speedster, Supergirl, Last Daughter of Krypton. Then there's also a bunch of deleted scenes, including The Flash Escape the Midnight Circus trailer. What?
These might be other. There's deleted scenes, and then there's
including deleted
series,
scenes, and then
there's something called The Flash Escape the Midnight Circus.
Yeah, there's a trailer, something on priorities, the inherent dangers of time travel, fully torqued. Then there's the Flash featurette takes us behind the scenes of the creation of Barry Allen's new suit, and then there's.
Yeah, for some reason, I have that twice in there. I don't guess we need to watch that twice.
You can watch it twice, and in fact, that's what they suggest. Apparently, there's Easter eggs you're just not going to get the first time. Then there's, guess what? We're back, baby. The Flash Escape the Midnight Circus.
We need to watch the Escape the Midnight Circus. There's a lot of these episodes.
I'm excited. The Psychodrone, the Psychotron Dawn,
and
Cyclotron Dawn. I'm sorry to Don and all of his cyclotron friends. And Blackout in Session. And then for the Flash Blu-ray,
it's a lot of the same stuff, just less of it.
Yeah, there's less of it for the Blu-ray. So you're gonna wanna pony up and get that 4K UHD. I do believe that Supergirl, to make it relevant for this podcast, the Blu-ray does include Supergirl, Last Daughter of Krypton featurette, although it doesn't have the Saving Supergirl, where again I've added the question mark at the end featurette. That's not available on the Blu-ray. Although, again, I don't know what the answer is. Is it really a very short featurette that says, like, we didn't?
But I think they should. I think that's what it should be.
If you're deep into the Flash Escape the Midnight Circus rabbit hole, that's all available for you on the Blu-rays, girl. Don't worry. Don't you worry about that.
I'm excited to find out what that is. There's a lot of it. Well, speaking of that Supergirl documentary, Sterling Gates is part of that. Sterling Gates, a fan favorite Supergirl writer in general, but also on Supergirl Radio. So Sterling tweeted or posted, I guess, out now. Honored to be part of DC's upcoming Supergirl documentary, Supergirl, The Last Daughter of Krypton. Always a joy to talk about my favorite fictional character. I thought it was wonderful that Sterling was a part of that. One of the more qualified people, I think, to talk about Supergirl in that documentary, among some others. So there's quite a bit going on there. I've got to get both. I don't have both of these various sets, so I think I need to get them just for the collection and to be able to see all of the featurettes that you don't get on the Blu-ray. I guess 4K Ultra HD,
4K
does that
Ultra.
do I have to get a separate player for that, or does it work in the Blu-ray? I don't know.
As a lazy streamer now, I would say that I have a Blu-ray DVD player, and that's about it. And I use it so infrequently that I'm pretty sure there's still like a I Love Lucy disc in there.
Nice.
From months ago. Yeah.
From the 1950s?
Yeah. It actually came with the Blu-ray player. So, funny enough.
You bought the Blu-ray player in the 1950s. And
exactly. I did a little time traveling. I might have messed up the timeline, so sue me.
So there's lots to see there if you want to check out the Flash movie on Blu-ray and a 4K UHD. Okay, so we really need to get to talking about the finale of season 1 of My Adventures of Superman, titled The Hearts of the Father. So let's get into this discussion. The episode description from Max reads, quote, "It's Thanksgiving, and Clark, Lois, and Jimmy are heading to the Kent farm to celebrate, but the holiday turns into a fight for survival," unquote. I'm glad that we looked at the date on the screenshot previously, because we knew it was late November.
That's true.
Happening. So we did surmise that it might be taking place around Thanksgiving. So it turns out that was intentional. Everything was pointing towards a Thanksgiving dinner that was going to happen. And there is a revelation that I think we should start with that happens at the Thanksgiving dinner, because I think it's the most important part of the episode. I mean, there's like a Kryptonian invasion that happens.
Yeah, there's some
Lois
stuff.
finds out some stuff about her dad, and some things really go down. Jonathan Kent is really trying to work on that turkey. Can't get it quite ready to to serve.
I feel like Jonathan's character arc in this episode was perfect and beautiful, and I appreciated it. Sure, other people are going through like some deep stuff, disturbing stuff, like some dangerous stuff. But Jonathan, he's clued into that turkey, and that's really all he cares about. And again, character correct, Jonathan Kent, pitch perfect. He's gonna let Martha handle all of like the heavy lifting and all the emotions. He's gonna swoop right in at the end for like a hug, and he's gonna eat some turkey. He didn't even do the turkey correctly. He just kind of mulliganed at the end and gave up. Jonathan Kent, I see you. I am you.
So yeah, I'm a little disappointed with this Pa Kent. He doesn't do so much, but I guess that is par for the course with Jonathan Kent. But so more importantly though, Jimmy has come to Thanksgiving dinner with some really big news, like news that I think we thought was happening, but we didn't know if it would actually come up on the show. But Jimmy has now sold Flamebird to the Daily Planet for $5.6 million. What are your thoughts, Morgan?
I scream laughed at that line, and I love that they left that for the very end of the episode to be like, "Season's over, Jimmy's rich." Perfect. 10/10, no notes. The Flamebird storyline has been perfect throughout the whole season, and the fact that they capped it off with him selling it to the Daily Planet for millions and millions of dollars, to me was just incredible. Because at first I was going to be like, "Listen, Jimmy, like, I don't think that you should give away your chat," because I figured that that's what Perry wanted to talk to him about, like, rolling the channel into the Daily Planet. And I was like, you know what? No, I would keep it. I'd keep it. You probably can make more money like using the channel. But that's before I realized that he was going to make $5 million from it. At that point, Jimmy, maybe I think Jimmy selling makes a lot of sense. Jimmy, sell that. Get your paper, Jimmy.
Okay, so I have a lot of questions about this, because I almost disagree. I think he should have kept
he should keep
his rights to his channel, because then he could pocket all that money. Now he's just getting this big sum of $5.6 million, which is a lot of money. But does he lose his rights to his content?
I suspect that he does. I would think that now it's the Daily Planet's Flamebird.
Oh,
the Daily Planet presents Flamebird. I'm hoping that like next season, because now they're not interns, spoiler alert. Now they're entry-level employees.
I have a lot of questions about that too. We'll get
A lot
to
of
that.
questions about their internship program for sure. But now that they are employees now, so I would think that they would buy the channel, but also keep Jimmy on because it's like a personality-focused channel, I think, Flamebird. So like I would feel like now he's working for the Daily Planet. He's got a full-time job. He can do Flamebird. Plus he gets $5 million. I don't know, man. I think that's pretty good. And yeah, sure, if he moves on from the Daily Planet, he'll have to let go of Flamebird. Caw. But I mean the $5 million will stick with him.
I guess so. I as an independent creator, I was saddened that Jimmy had sold off his creation that he had built up this audience with. And now he's going to be controlled by the man.
That's true.
Who's going to tell him what he can and cannot do with his channel.
To be fair, Jimmy could have been like the next Mr. Beast. Did Jimmy want to do take a bunch of people and do some sort of like reality competition with them, Flamebird style? We'll never know. We'll never know. He can't do it now, probably, because now he's got a boss. But he also has $5 million, so it's kind of give and take, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on what the platform he was working off of. Did it have a paid partnership program? If it did, I think he still should have kept the channel because he was still making. He was bringing in all the viewers. He could have made $5 million in like, I don't know, 6 months.
I mean, it's true. It's like how is he gonna? How would he have? We really would have needed to look at his finances before advising him one way or the other. Like how much is he monetize? How much is he making from monetization? How much is he making from brand deals? Like he could probably make a pretty penny from those brand deals. But I mean, $5 million in the pocket. That's hard to.
But then I also have a lot of questions about how the Daily Planet has $5 million that they can just buy up YouTube channels.
I mean, it is the most wildly unrealistic part of this episode is that print media would have a couple of $1 million lying around to buy up a YouTube channel. No, they don't. Print media has a stick of gum and a dream, and that's a good day. Print media's like, please listen to us. Buy our paper.
Okay, so I guess we are under the assumption. I like your idea that it could be the Daily Planet's Flamebird.
That's what I
think that's a good compromise.
That's the assumption I'm working. Like that they bought the channel, but they also bought him as like the face of the channel because he is kind of the personality behind the channel. He's the
brand.
And
why people subscribed.
And they already have him working there. So it seems like a kind of a no-brainer to like keep him on doing the Flamebird stuff. But now I'm excited that like next season we can go really deep down a hole of like digital marketing and we can find out like is he going to start getting in like disagreements about the direction of the YouTube channel? Like what if Jimmy has like a Flamebird story and the Daily Planet is like, no, we don't want you to report on that. We don't think Sasquatch is real. And he's like, but I know he is. Like this is the kind of content that I want to see from my Superman stories, like really deep dives into the digital creator culture.
Yeah,
that's what I expect from Superman.
That's what I find so interesting about this because the Daily Planet prides itself on reporting the truth. And Jimmy, while reporting the truth, also could be seen as a kook because he's very heavy into conspiracy theories, which just happen to be true all the time because most conspiracy theories are. I just want to mention that. So I think there would be a conflict of interest in terms of how they approach these stories.
You would think that Jimmy can't go as crazy as he's been going, where he's like, and did you know Bigfoot? Bigfoot has dance parties in the woods. Like, I don't think he can do that anymore because now it's like the Daily Planet says Bigfoot has dance parties in the woods. And it's like, we don't have evidence for that, Jimmy. And he was like, and Jimmy's just like, I was just vibing. You can't do that, I think, anymore. If you're like the official YouTube channel of like a news publication. So I feel like Jimmy's storyline in season 2 is going to be like, was it the right choice to sell my YouTube channel? Because now I can't do my expose on the Roswell aliens without like evidence.
Now, to be fair to Jimmy, He's been reporting things that actually turned out to be true.
That's true.
And there is a lot of weird stuff that already happens in Metropolis anyway, so it's not like it would be out of the realm of out of the realm of possibility that he would report on something that was a little kooky. I mean, they've been covering Kryptonian robots and alien invasions and the two characters who were in the I'm already forgetting the episode. Monsieur Malat and the Brain.
Monsieur Malat and the Brain.
Yeah.
The greatest love story of all time.
So, I mean, the weird things have happened. There's a League of Lois Lanes that came from the future. McChez Pitlig showed up. So, I think the Daily Planet, I think, is just going to have to get used to having a reputation for reporting on weird stuff.
I'll be interested to see like what the legal process is for Jimmy's videos now.
Ooh.
Because by the way, now Jimmy we were going deep down like a creator / marketing rabbit hole.
I think this is important.
But this is all important things to consider because Jimmy now has to run everything through legal. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he does.
He's got to go. Everything's got to go through legal. I want there to be an episode where every single one of his videos gets rejected by legal. I'd just be like, you cannot say that. You cannot prove that.
Because now it would be a liability for the Daily Planet if he reported something kooky that he couldn't prove.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Jimmy's going to find himself, I think, a little hemmed in season 2 of like what he can and can't say on Flamebird. And maybe he will regret the decision to sell. Although maybe not with his $5 million. Maybe he's just sitting on a pile of money in season 2, just like buying everyone designer watches. What if Jimmy just becomes like slowly over season 2 like a nightmare? He's just like he just comes up in like a new car every episode.
I imagine him maybe going full on Tom Hanks from the movie Big, where he buys like a big apartment and like all this stuff in it.
He buys like a giant floor piano that he just plays.
I think Flamebird needs to fly free. So I'm as much as I thought it was funny, I was a little disappointed. I was like, Jimmy, you're not going to have access to your content. Let's see. So Mind the Gap has a good question. What if Jimmy doesn't agree with what they're doing with his brand and he leaves? What then? Does he make a new channel with a new name? That's the thing. Do they change the handle but keep the subscribers? I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
does Jimmy also have
absolutely.
social media that goes along with Flamebird? That's also a question for
See, Jimmy's gonna want to position himself as a thought leader, as a brand creator. He's gonna want to be like, everybody wants to follow Jimmy because they love Jimmy. Because then if and when he ever leaves the Daily Planet, he can start up a new channel. Everyone's going to follow him because they love Jimmy. They love Jimmy Olsen. They're like, I got to get Jimmy Olsen's take on this. And then it doesn't matter so much that like the Daily Planet owns Flamebird. It's the Daily Planet's Flamebird because Jimmy Olsen can just start his own thing. It could be like Jimmy's Corner or like that's Olsen for you or whatever. But I'm just workshopping them.
Okay, Electra WWF has a good question. What happens with the Nah channel now? That is a good question. Steve Lombard works at the Daily Planet alongside Jimmy. So could Steve Lombard hop on the Flamebird channel?
Ooh.
Would he be creating Nah content for the Flamebird channel? Or would it have to be Flamebird branded?
That I love the idea of them having a show on Flamebird that's called like Flamebird or Nah.
Yes.
And it's just like Jimmy and Steve, and they're like facing off against each other.
I love this idea.
Are aliens real? And then like Jimmy has all this like, yeah, I bet that this thing happened and this thing happened, and then Steve just goes like close to the mic and he goes, nah. No further information. Like he doesn't have an argument. It's just nah.
I think they need to turn it into like a board game. And it would be great bonus content for the Daily Planet's Flamebird channel.
Listen, we've got a content strategy for Flamebird. Is all I'm saying.
I think this could work. Oh, the chat is blowing up about everything going on with Jimmy. Brian says Jimmy will have extra time and money to become Guardian. We don't know if there's. No. We think there's a Guardian because the News Kid Legion is there, but we've never seen Guardian.
We haven't. It could still be Jimmy, although. No. Although I'm going to put my own nah in for that one.
Carrie in the chat. We need a nah sound effect.
We
feel like.
do. We need to make one.
Carrie says the Daily Planet knew what they bought. I expect them to turn Jimmy loose on Flamebird and let him go wild. See, now that would be the best possible option. Yeah.
They are a big company, though, Carrie. Like, they're going to have a legal department.
New Rachel thinks this sounds like the beginning of a Jimmy as a cult leader story.
Okay. Rachel, first off, stop it because I want this now. Could you imagine if just slowly over the course of season 2, Jimmy just becomes like a charismatic leader? He's like, people are listening to me. Like, a lot of people are listening to me. And then like by the end of season 2, Clark's like, I think I got to take Jimmy down. I don't know. He's on a compound now. He's not answering my calls.
He's not even using the technology anymore, but somehow he's still streaming. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I think something could go to Jimmy's head. I think a little bit. Money makes people do strange things. So I guess we'll have to see what happens with Jimmy and his newfound wealth in season 2. Okay, so I know we briefly mentioned Jimmy and Clark and Lois as reporters. So how do you think that happens with the Daily Planet? It didn't seem like they put in an application for anything. They just showed up to work one day and they were hired. And
congratulations. Yeah, I feel like usually there's like a thing where they have to like legally like post the jobs, and then they have to like interview a couple people, and then they can finally give it to like somebody. But listen, I think it's great that they're working full time now. What were their hours? I had so many questions about the internship program at the Daily Planet. It seemed borderline unethical. Were they getting paid? How many hours were they working? Just lots of questions. A couple of their stories that they worked on definitely did not have their names on it. That seems wrong.
Yeah, that is not right.
They finally got that front page story, but they were like, "Oh, it's not written by interns because we made you into full-time employees now. So it's not embarrassing for us at all."
Yeah, I thought it was really strange that they just all of a sudden made them reporters. That was very easy for them. And not only did they just become, I guess, full-time staff, they got cubicles. They each got a cubicle.
They got a cubicle. They don't have to work in like a little closet anymore. They're moving on up.
I hope they get to keep the murder or / investigation board, though.
Yeah, me too. Roll that thing into the cubicle. Really freak people out.
So I guess they're no longer interns. And I guess in defense of the internship program, I think Perry always envisioned it as just them getting coffee and making copies.
Yes. Yeah, it seemed like he wanted it to be a traditional internship program where they would like maybe they'd follow some people around and find out the fundamentals of reporting. Maybe they wouldn't be in every single life and death situation that's happening in Metropolis. I think at one point he was like, well, they're either going to die or I'm going to make them into full-time reporters. And they seem nice, so let's give them this.
So that was a quick way to make them reporters at the Daily Planet. I guess I buy it. I don't know. That would never happen in real life, but
no,
I'll go with it on this show because everything else is so delightful. And I guess they have earned it. They did get that front page story about how the city saved Superman. Okay, so this we'll get to we'll save the invasion for last because that's the most intriguing / dangerous part of the episode. But something equally as dangerous was having General Lane over for Thanksgiving dinner with the kids. So Morgan, what did you think about this very awkward, strange dinner that they were going to be having?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all knew as soon as the episode opened and she was like, thanks for inviting my dad who you've never met to Thanksgiving dinner. My dad who you've never met is so excited to come and to meet you for the first time because you've never met. And I was like, all right, so the general is your dad for sure. I think that confirms it. I did like, because the first couple minutes of the episode that them at the Kent house and they're getting ready and he's coming and you're just waiting for it. You're like, uh-oh, it's gonna be bad. And then he shows up and Clark is like, I smushed the door.
And I really like that moment too, because right before he opens the door, he tells Lois, no matter what happens, it can't change the way I feel about you. And then he opens up the door and her father
my nemesis
is the one who kidnapped and semi-tortured him and is on a mission to kill him. So that
Great.
is pretty awkward to have your I guess your girlfriend's dad trying to kill you. That's not fantastic.
Not fantastic. No, I thought it was really funny that even without knowing that Clark is Superman, he was like, first off, you look familiar. He's like, nope, not me. Couldn't be me.
Just have one
And-
of those faces.
Just have one of those days. And then he was like, not impressed with him even as a just like a human being, like a non-Superman human being. He was like very, very harsh. He barely even talked to Clark before he was like dismissing him. And I love that the Martha Kent in this universe is like trying to be nice and then like goes off into the kitchen is like, Jimmy, I hate Lois's father. I will kill him, my sweet little boy. I just like Mama Bear Martha Kent, where she's like, I'm gonna be polite to him, but I do not like that man. And it's like that's like Kansas rude. She's like, just so you and I know, Jimmy, just so you and I know, I don't like him. And Jimmy's like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, everybody was excited when Jimmy showed up because they could throw all their weirdness with each other away and focus on Jimmy's
It was so
arrival.
good. That was probably my favorite moment of the episode, when Jimmy shows up to the Kent farm and everybody takes him aside to tell him like a secret that they don't want him to know. And then when it gets to Jonathan Kent sitting in front of the turkey, he's like, Jimmy, this bird ain't browning. Just the different stakes, the level of stakes of the different secrets were very funny.
I will say for Pa Kent that one of the best moments I think for me in this episode is when Clark goes into the kitchen with his parents to talk about the realization that he knows that Lois's dad is the general. He asks his parents, well, what would you do if you had an enemy? And Pa Kent said, I thought something very profound. He said, turn them into a friend. And I was like, that is great advice. Now, sometimes that may never happen. There are some people who are just not willing to engage with you on that level. But I think if you had a bully or something like that, if you tried to befriend them in such a way where you were kind to them, maybe it could change hearts and minds. So I thought Pa Kent, even the way they played him down as kind of a dummy, like a guy who has no brain. He felt like he just was the scarecrow with the scarecrow had no brain, right?
To be fair, he was just really focused on that turkey. He was like, sure, my
Just
son's
one track mind.
got other things going on. There's an attack, I guess, but the turkey. Yeah, I did think that was cute advice. I also like that it was both profound and like unactionable, which feels like a very Jonathan Kent like area of like, hey dad, I need some advice. And it's like, here's this advice. It's like, it's good advice, but I'm not going to tell you how to get there or like what to do about
Yeah,
it. It's like,
that's true.
Make them into a friend. How? Got to get to that turkey, son.
And I think it's possible with General Lane. Now, some of the enemies may be revealed at the end of the episode. That may never happen.
Probably
I don't know.
not.
Those are enemies of questionable ethics and morals. But I think for General Lane, I think there could be a possibility that he could turn Lois's dad into a friend. So I think that is
so too,
actually
yeah.
possible. So I think that advice could come in handy. I just hope that they give. I think the running with the idea that Pa Kent is a joke, I think can only go so far with me. I would like it if at some point he got a really good moment, because I think for all of the times we've seen him in this season, he's been kind of a joke. And I think it's funny to a degree. And like, I did laugh about him with the turkey, but I think if you did that too much, why would I care that Jonathan's there? I don't know. I wish he could have at least one moment where he did something that was fatherly or meaningful in some way. So I hope that changes in season 2.
Yeah, I think in season 2 they definitely need to expand him out past like a comic relief character. Although he is very funny whenever he shows up. I'm like, oh yeah, Jonathan Kent's here. But I do think that they need to give him some different layers so he doesn't just seem like a kind doofus.
And so I guess part of, this episode is called Hearts of the Fathers. So lots of fathers in here. So we sort of talked about General Lane, but there was a moment with him and Lois where they talked about their relationship and their dynamics and how the general was surprised that Lois wanted to spend Thanksgiving with him. What did you think about their relationship? Was it what you thought it might be?
Yeah, I mean, she does talk early in the season about how strained her relationship is with her dad and how she didn't know when her mom was getting sick. So I wasn't surprised to see them have like a hard time communicating with each other. He also seems like he's maybe not the best at small talk or like making conversation at all or like making friends. He's not here to make friends like every cast member on The Real Housewives. Like,
Right.
He's here to shine. Uh, so I wasn't surprised that their relationship was so strained. I did think that moment at the end of the episode was really nice when Lois jumps in front of Superman to save him and General Lane stands down. I think his opinion on Superman is starting to change. I think in the last episode he was already starting to lose his appetite for like killing Superman and thinking that Superman was a huge threat. And I think this episode is taking him even further away from that. So I'm interested to see what they do with that character in season 2 now that everybody knows who he is and that he hates Superman and also that he's Lois's dad. I think that's going to be a lot of conflict.
Yeah, right now the general doesn't know that Clark is Superman, though.
No, he does not.
That's still not something he knows. He knows that Lois has a connection with Superman and that Lois likes Superman, and he knows that Lois is in a relationship with Clark, but he doesn't connect the two of them just yet. So I think it's interesting that everybody in the house knew Clark was Superman except for General Lane, who seems like he should know more because he has all that secret governmental information. It seems like they should know a lot of things, but they don't. But I think that could be interesting to watch in the future with their dynamic and maybe how that changes with Lois and her father in their relationship, because I thought it was so brave of Lois to step in front of Superman like that. It was very Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. But I thought it was very brave of her to stand up to her dad like that and reinforce the fact that Superman was a hero and that he'd saved all of them. And I'm very curious to see what Mandy has to say about all this, because earlier on in the episode, General Lane calls them to say, hey, aliens are invading. We should probably do something. And then at the end, he says false alarm. So I don't know if there is a consequence to him falsely reporting an alien invasion. That seems like a pretty big deal. There is a question in the chat from Electra WWF. Did General Lane figure out that Clark is Superman, or did he totally ignore the spaceship that just coincidentally happened to be on the Kent farm? That's a good question. I think you could put 2 and 2 together if you wanted to. So I think that could be something that could be explored in season 2.
Yeah, there might have been some hints about it.
Maybe some dots
he
you
knew
can
enough
connect.
to look. Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about how there was an alien invasion that happened on the Kent farm because of the connection with the Superman or the Kryptonian ship that was there. So Morgan, what did you think about the whole sequence of aliens coming in and trying to invade, and what Superman has to do to stop them?
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I continue to think it's interesting that like the aliens, the like they're sort of Kryptonian adjacent, that they're all very technological. Like we've seen versions of like Krypton before where things were very high tech, but like not like giant robots high tech. Again, this is the anime version.
Yes.
So I am enjoying it though. I thought it was really interesting that that it all kind of happened from the sliver of kryptonite. Seemed to throw something into like start a chain of reaction that led to 0 Day Part 2, or 1 day. I don't know what that is, but like basically happening all over again, where this portal opens up and these ships come out and these robots jump into the Kent's lawn, basically. Yeah, I'm just really interested. I mean, I'm assuming that it has something to do with like the Brainiacs, because of the symbols on all of the robots. But I'm interested to see like what their take on some of these other Kryptonian or like Superman villains are going to be. Because I'm wondering if we're going to get Zod, are we going to get Brainiac? Like it seems like they're hinting in some directions.
So there is a tip that that we had got from Carrie in the live chat, who says, "I do love closed captioning. It translated," and he talked about the captioning translated what Jor-El was saying, but the captioning also, if you had, and we can talk about what Jor-El was saying if you wanted to know. I did notate that. For anyone interested and you didn't have a chance to go back and look at the captioning to find out what Jor-El was saying, he says things like, "You don't understand. Wait, I never hurt you, my son." And then he asks, "Kryptonite, the poison is here." And he tells Kal-El, "Follow to the heart. Do what you must quickly." And then he talks about how you brought the kryptonite here, and right before he saves Superman, he says, "Kal-El, my son, live." So he is speaking in Kryptonian or Kryptonese, and the captioning is translating it for us. So that's just a little
the closed captioning came in clutch.
I just pro tip: pay attention to the closed captioning. And in addition to the Jor-El translation, it did identify one of the characters. So according to the closed captioning, the character at the very end in the cliffhanger with the 3 dots on its head is Brainiac. So we do have a new version of Brainiac. And did Morgan, I'm just curious, did his voice sound familiar to you?
No, but
so it did to me, and I looked it up, and I was correct. On IMDb, Brainiac is credited as being voiced by Michael Emerson.
What? Ben Linus?
Yes.
Our very own Ben Linus is the voice of Brainiac. That's awesome. I love Michael Emerson. So anytime he pops up in anything, I know it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I think he's a good choice for the voice of Brainiac. Also, the character that Brainiac was talking to was not identified, but this character did mention what was the line? Yes, did mention kneeling, saying, what is the quote? "In the end, they will kneel." And the closed captioning refers to this character as a Kryptonian warrior. And the character also wears a cape and has some sort of S shield on the front of the robotic chest. So I would agree. I think that seems pretty in line with General Zod. So we could be looking at a General Zod Brainiac Kryptonian invasion, which would be pretty cool. So I think that would be a really great storyline to explore for season 2, to have them be the big bads coming for us. Let's see. New Rachel in the chat says this character is also voiced by Kari Wahlgren, who also voices Martha Kent. Kari Wahlgren has done many voices in the DC world, so she's a great voice actress. So yeah, Rachel says make of that what you will. So Kari Wahlgren is playing Martha Kent here on My Adventures with Superman, but also playing the mysterious character who wants Earth to kneel to them. So we'll see what transpires in season 2. Okay, well, I guess since this is the final episode, we think, of season 1, what did you think of season 1 of My Adventures with Superman?
Oh, I loved it. I thought this was such a good season of a TV show. Such a good different take on the Superman. mythology and the Superman story. I feel like probably for both of us, we watch a lot of super family stuff, and so it takes a lot for me to be like, oh, I feel like, at some point you're like, yeah, okay, and then the pod, and then they send them to the thing. I'm like, oh, yay, he's saving people. You start to, it's kind of I mean, the same thing is true of Batman. Let's be honest, he's been everywhere. So I feel like it's really rare to see like a take on Superman where I'm like, it feels different to me, but also it has all the hallmarks of like a good Superman story. And I think the combination of its anime influences, not shying away from like fun stuff from the comics, where like if you're a big comic fan, you could be like, oh my god, they referenced Comet, oh my god, they referenced the News Kid Legion, like these things that we have been obsessed with for a long time popping up in the show is like as characters and or casual mentions. I think shows that the creators behind this show are big fans of the source material. They're not looking to just do something different for the sake of doing it different. They want to do their own spin on it. And I've really liked the way that they have developed the characters. I feel like this version of Lois is really fun. I love this version of Jimmy. I was so wrong about him in the pilot. I was like, I don't know, this guy might get annoying. No, I love him. Congratulations on your money, sir. I think overall it was a really strong season. I think that they set up their storylines well, and it at the end of the season it left me going like, where's season 2? I'm ready for season 2. I'm annoyed that this is the last episode of season 1, and I want more.
Yeah, I think this show has done a really good job of making me feel at home in this world. I think there's some cases in which I'm like, I don't know if I can accept this new take on Superman. I like this other take on Superman better. Why am I getting invested in this new one? But this one really felt at home for me, even though I'm not an anime watcher. I've seen some episodes of some anime, but I'm not like an expert on the genre. But I felt pretty at home with the characters and the world that it was building, just because it was written so well and the voice acting was very believable and good. So this show really won me over fairly quickly. Like, I didn't have to adjust too much. And the characters, I think they've done a good job of making them seem familiar in what we would expect of them, but also doing some different things. They've given Lois a journey to becoming a Pulitzer Prize, future award-winning journalist. They've given Clark a reason to figure out who he is and how to be Superman. And Jimmy is not just a side character with a camera. He actually feels like he's in a modern world, who in the sense that he would use his camera to do things a little differently and do them in a way that would actually draw people to the news. And so I like the idea that they've been taking these characters and tweaking them just a little bit, but actually delivering something that feels like you're like wrapping yourself in like a warm snuggie or something. But I think it feels very comfortable, but it's also a unique take that I think I've really come to enjoy. So I think this first season, I don't have a lot of complaints. I don't have a lot of critiques. I think it was very good. So I'm very excited about season 2. So we'll have to see if we get more Brainiac and possibly a General Zod of some sorts.
That's exciting.
But it is exciting.
I think they set it up nicely for season 2 as well. I like the way that they wrapped up the season 1 storylines, but left enough open that like I can't wait to see what happens in season 2.
And I think for me, it's refreshing. Not only like have they done a really good job of pushing the storyline forward and making me want to see more of it, it is refreshing to see a Superman family show that doesn't have a lot of political agenda to it. It's just trying to tell a story within the comic book world. Is it a little ridiculous that the parasite monster is still in downtown Metropolis even after that fight's over? Why haven't they moved? Why hasn't Superman moved it? Why haven't they gotten rid of it? Why is it still standing there? Is it a little ridiculous? Yes, it definitely is. But I enjoy that it reminds itself that yes, this thing still happened. We did have this in the last episode. It remembers everything that it did, and even though there is some continuity errors with the subscriber count of
We'll never
of
forget.
of Jimmy's Flamebird channel, but putting that aside, I think the show has done a really good job in terms of like telling the story and staying true to what it's been trying to do. So I think it's been doing a great job. So it's very clear to me that the people involved with the show like the material, have at least read some of the material. That's not always the case, that people working
It's
on these
not,
kinds of
no.
shows actually know anything about the material. To me, it's very clear that they've done their homework. So I'm excited that it will get more episodes because I think they've been doing a great job.
Rachel also points out another thing that I meant to say and then forgot, which is that they did a good job with the Clark and Lois romance. I feel like, they only had 10 episodes and they were half an hour episodes, and yet they did like a full arc, I feel like, to that romance. I didn't feel like they sort of jumped from point A to point B just because we all know like Clark and Lois are, a couple, an iconic couple. I think that they really built up that relationship between those two characters, and I really like was bought in. I really believed in it by the end. I was rooting for those two crazy kids.
Yeah, by the end, when Lois declares her love for Superman before he flies up to stop the ship, I bought into it. Maybe it's a little soon. Maybe they haven't known
Maybe a
each other a
little
long
soon.
time. But I believe that she actually does care for him to the point where she loves him. I totally believe that. And I think they did a good job of focusing on their relationship and also using the side characters to help them with that. There's a really good scene between Martha and Lois in this finale episode where Lois talks about how when Clark was younger, he had a lot of troubles and he didn't have a lot of people in his life. And so having Lois there is really nice for him now. So I think that the characters like that do a lot to build up their relationship and their romance. So I agree. I think they've done a really good job with the limited amount of episodes that they have had. Let's see. I was trying to see what everybody was saying in the chat. So Carrie says, in season 2 and beyond, do you expect more anthology episodes to dig into the individual characters more rather than always treating them as a trio? I think they did a pretty good job of doing individual storylines, but also having them all in the same episode. Like the League of Lois Lanes was pretty heavy on Lois. The Monsieur Malat and the Brain was very much a Jimmy episode, even though they had Clark and Lois stuff in there. So I think they've done a good job of creating storylines for each of those main characters while still having them all in the episodes together. So I don't know. I don't know what they choose to do in the next season in terms of how they tell the stories. Let's see.
Yeah.
Mind the Gap says, I do wish they had 3 more episodes, one of them learning to work together, one more when they are mad at each other, and one more for the Clark and Lois relationship. So I guess this comment is more so about the Clark and Lois dynamic. So
yeah, I wish there were a couple more episodes this season, I will say. I feel like we did, because it was only 10 episodes, they did kind of have to churn through story fast. And I liked a lot of their sort of standalone episodes, like when they meet Monsieur Malat and the Brain and things like that, the League of Lois. I think this could be a series that I think could do a lot of like fun standalone episodes. They just don't have the runtime to do that many of them.
The great thing about this take on the Superman mythology is that it's already been leaning into the weirder aspects of DC Comics with Comet the Superhorse and time travel and Mr. Mxyzptlk. So I would not be surprised if the Legion of Superheroes showed up, or if they did time traveling themselves and went to some other time or place to solve a mystery. I would not be surprised if they had, crazy characters coming in. They could do literally anything from DC Comics and it would make sense in this version of Superman. So I'm that's exciting for me personally, just because I think you could really take the stories any way that you wanted to. And New Rachel makes a good point in the chat saying, I think it would be fun to get an episode featuring Steve, Kat, and Ronnie and what they're up to. Because now Lois, Clark, and Jimmy are their colleagues. They're not just interns anymore. They are colleagues as reporters. So
That's true.
I think that could change things. And I think we already saw that in this finale where I didn't even think Cat Grant really knew who Clark Kent was, but she gives him a kiss. Steve Lombard gives Jimmy a stuffed animal in the form of a wolf. For some reason, wasn't really sure why he did that, but he got him.
Yeah, I was a little confused about that as well. I'm glad it wasn't just me.
He got him a present, and then Ronnie Troop gives Lois a like a nameplate to put in her office, her cubicle, that says future award-winning journalist. So it seems like everybody at the Daily Planet has at least warmed up to the idea of these youngsters as full-time reporters. So Mark asks, was that Cat who kissed Clark when he got the promotion? I thought so, Mark.
I think so, yeah.
I think the sequence was showing Cat, Steve, and Ronnie and how they were accepting them into the fold. So I believe that is who that was. Electra WWF says they had that whole lone wolf talk, so that's why Steve got Jimmy a wolf. Good memory.
Honestly, I forgot that entirely.
Me too. So good catch. All right. So I guess that's going to do it for our discussion of the episode and so some wrap up thoughts about season 1 as a whole. But we have an email from Mark. So Morgan, would you like to read that?
Sure. So Mark writes, so this guy goes to his daughter's new boyfriend's parents' home for Thanksgiving, and he leads with, "Call me General?" I can't say I've known any generals, but with the military people I have known, they tend to treat the military as their job, and they leave that stuff on the base. At least he wasn't willing to shoot Lois, so that's something. I have to wonder why he where he disappeared to at the end. Did it seem to you like Lois had already met the Kents? I expected her to be more nervous, embarrassed, doing that cute little blush thing she does. I don't know.
It did seem like
she
wasn't introduced to them in any way that we could see. So it did seem like she already knew who they were, which to me, I wish I could have seen that, but I also guess I don't need it. It seemed like she just Lois just kind of fit in there with them. So I thought it was fine the way it was done, but I guess you could have had more of a bigger introduction to them.
Yeah. And then Mark finishes off with, also, now that Jimmy's rich, do you think Lois will suggest that he meet her kid sister? Although he seems to be the same age as Clark in this.
I assume, Mark, you're talking about Lucy Lane. Is that who you're referring to?
I would assume so, yeah.
So I don't think we know in this version of the story if she has a sister. I assume she does because typically Lois has a sister named Lucy. But I don't think we have met her yet. So maybe we will sometime in the coming episodes. So I guess, Morgan, would you like to make some snap judgments?
Oh, yes, I would love to make some snap judgments.
In the game of snap judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay, so our first snap judgment is, which menu item on the Thanksgiving dinner at the Kent house was probably tastier? Jimmy Olsen's yams or Pa Kent's turkey?
I think given Jimmy's newfound wealth, he probably brought the best and the finest yams that he could find. The most expensive
yams money could buy.
Most expensive yams. So I think I'm going to go yams on this one.
I'm gonna go yams too, just because I have some doubts about like a turkey that didn't quite make it, and then it just got like flash fried at the last minute. I feel like it's probably going to be a little dry, but I think that those yams, again, the finest yams money can buy, I feel like they're going to be pretty good.
I don't like the idea of Supergirl or Superman because Supergirl did it on the CW Supergirl TV series too, where she heat visioned the turkey for Thanksgiving. I have lots of questions about that because I don't feel like that's safe to eat.
It doesn't feel like it would be. No.
I don't. Would it give you cancer? Is it radiation? I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
want
feel
to
like it's
find
a
out,
good
I
thing.
think is the thing. I don't want to dive deep into like what happened to that turkey and what it tastes like now. I feel like I'm not that interested.
Maybe it's just fire. Maybe it's just heat. I mean, it is heat vision. So maybe it's just like
Heat
hot heat.
vision, but I don't know. I feel like it's not going to be like a delicious like slow brine turkey, right? Like flash fried that that bad boy. So,
I don't know. I always find that very questionable.
all right. So, which is more terrifying? Waking up from a dream where your best friends die without being able to save them, or having Thanksgiving dinner with General Lane?
Yeah, so Clark at the beginning of this episode does have a nightmare where he wakes up and he sees Lois and Jimmy being succumbed by some flames and the invasion kicking in, and it reveals his face that he is the invader,
Yup.
a la Luke Skywalker and The Empire Strikes Back. So it's pretty bad. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
that
not good.
to have to fight the feeling that you are an invader of your home planet, and because of you, your friends die.
Not
I
good.
I think I
Hmm.
could take the general.
Oh,
I don't know that I
fighting
could.
words.
I think I could deal with the general. I could maybe turn him into a friend, but I don't think I could shake the idea that I would be the reason that my friends died.
That's going to be a little bit tough.
I'm gonna say the scarier thing would be the nightmare for me.
This is a tough one. I'm gonna go with the scarier one being General Lane. At least I get to wake up from that nightmare, right? Like I wake up and I'm like, oh, what a weird dream. Meanwhile, General Lane is very much real and he cannot make small talk and he is not interested in it.
And you
Uh,
can't escape him.
you are not going to be able to impress that man no matter what you try. So I'm going nightmare all the way.
Do you have a Jimmy or no Jimmy in this situation?
Oh, I mean, with a Jimmy, maybe my answer is different. You got to have a wingman in that situation.
He might come in handy if you are having to engage with General Lane. But I guess anyway you cut it there, both of those are pretty terrifying. No judgments on your snap judgments. Well, that is going to do it for all of our thoughts on my adventures with Superman Season 1's finale, Hearts of the Father. So now that we have gotten finished with our discussion, we're going to get to some Supergirl Radio and some DC TV podcast plugs. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Hello, and thank you for calling the DC TV Podcast Hotline. Please listen carefully as some of our menu options have changed. Supergirl Radio? Press 1. The Flash Podcast? Press 2. Legends of Tomorrow Podcast? Press 3. The Lithuanian Room? Press 4. DC on HBO Max Podcast? Press 5. Stargirl Podcast? Press 6. Superman and Lois Radio? Press 7. Green Lantern Podcast? Press 8. The Sandman Podcast? Press 9. Justice League Dark Podcast? Press 10. DC After Dark? Press 11. For all other inquiries, please stay on the line and the next available agent will be with you shortly.
And we have some Kryptonian designs in the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store that we would love to suggest.
Yeah, we have a Krypton lifting team t-shirt, which is actually a t-shirt that Henry Cavill wore in an Instagram video one time. So if you want to be part of the Krypton lifting team and show support that way, you could do that. And we also have a design that looks kind of like the Fresh Prince of Bel
I was
Air.
going to say, I like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, the last son of Krypton.
Yeah, so we have got some cool Kryptonian related designs in the DCTV Podcast T Public Store if you would like to check those out. And we would like to thank our legion of super sponsors for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. These people are Michael, Anne Marie, Yvonne, Quinn, Nicola, Abby, Miriam, Nicole, Brian, Ethan, Danny, Majuba, and Lincolnberry. And if you would also like to be a legion of super sponsor, you can go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. And we have some pilot pods that we've been doing. We have, I think I'm going to convince Morgan to let me tell her a little bit about Dragon Con from this year. So we'll have some of that. So we've got a lot of good Patreon content if you would like to support the Supergirl Radio Patreon. And if you would like to keep up with me, you can follow me in a couple places. I'm on Vero True Social, which is a platform that I enjoy and my username there is @DerbyKid. So you can find out what I'm watching, what I'm listening to, what I'm reading, that kind of thing. You would know that I just watched the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is very cute. Enjoyed it quite a bit. So
I actually just watched that too.
Yeah. Some friends of mine were going to be cosplaying as Bowser and Princess Peach, and so I needed to do the background background homework.
To really capture the essence of the characters.
Yes, so I had to understand what they were doing. So it's quite a good movie, so I recommend it. Available on oh my gosh, Peacock is the streaming.
Yeah, I think it's
service.
Peacock. Yeah.
Yes. You can also find me on Instagram @the_Derby_Kid. I created some video reels, some Instagram reels of my Dragon Con experience. So if you want to go check those out, did some little video montages for fun, just because it's a good way to enjoy the cosplayers there at Dragon Con. You can also subscribe to my personal YouTube channel at youtube.com/duckmilkprod. I have lots of stuff that I need to be doing. I got to finish a Barbie video. I also want to do a video about Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and I also been inspired to do one on the Dick Tracy movie because that soundtrack pops up on my shuffle quite a bit, and I feel like I need to talk about one of my top 5 movies, top 5 comic book films that I enjoy because a lot of people don't ever mention the Dick Tracy movie, and I find that so disappointing because it's a great film. So maybe one of these days when I have time, I'm gonna do a video about why I love the Dick Tracy movie so much and why other people should think more highly of it as a comic book film. So
I haven't seen that movie in such a long time.
It's great. The color palette is amazing. They use only colors that are associated with the comic books themselves. So only colors found in the Dick Tracy comics are used. And every red that's in the movie is the same red. Every yellow is the same yellow. Every purple is the same purple. So they have a really cool color scheme. The acting is good. The story is good. Fantastic music. Stephen Sondheim songs. I'm just saying, like, I'm maybe gonna have to make a video about why I love that movie so much. I was inspired by that today.
I also forgot who was in this movie, and I did not remember at all that Madonna was in it.
Madonna, Warren Beatty.
Apparently, Warren Beatty was the director of this movie.
He was the director. He actually, I don't know if he still owns the rights to Dick Tracy, but at one point he owned the rights.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So very good cast. Mark agrees with me. Dick Tracy, work of art, not just paintings of horses.
It's paintings of horses and Dick Tracy. Those are the two forms of art that you can have.
Yes. So I probably will make a video on that sometime in the future. But if you want to follow with my video content, I'm definitely going to finish that Barbie video this week. That's happening. It's going to be going up on Sunday. I can feel it. It's going to happen. So that's where you can find me.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. And you can also find me as a co-host on the Legendary Ladies podcast, where we just did a nice little double recording. So we've got some content coming up, but we're talking about pop songs this week, specifically the new Selena Gomez and Miley Cyrus songs. Honestly, 2 songs I probably would not have looked up if it wasn't for the podcast. Kind of fun talking about. And we also have a pilot pod coming up for Orphan Black, so you should make sure that you follow us on all of the channels that you can, especially YouTube. It's youtube.com/@thelegendaryladies, where we started posting up our videos. So we've started going on camera. So please watch so that we're doing it for some reason. And also, I'm about to go on a nice little vacation to Italy. So if you want to see pictures of pasta, feel free to follow Graham. Follow all good pasta.
You can do that at Mojotastic if you would like to follow along with Morgan's journey through Italy. And I guess that is a good segue to say that Morgan will be out for 3 weeks, absent from Supergirl Radio, but that doesn't mean that there will be no Supergirl Radio episodes. At DragonCon, I did 2 panels. One that I intentionally wanted to do was Superman and Lois season 3. But then I got put on as I was a backup for the discussion about the Flash movie. And I guess they needed somebody because then they put me in the app for that panel. So I was on a panel as well about the Flash movie. I was kind of Flash movied out. But
I feel that.
But then the panel was actually a pretty productive conversation, I felt like, and some good and bad points. But I thought both panels went well, so I'll be packaging those up as Supergirl Radio episodes. So I'll be putting them in the audio podcast feed, and I also might package them up as videos for the YouTube channel, the DCTV Podcast YouTube channel. I was not able to record video because I didn't want to take my big tripod, and I thought my gimbal would be enough. But then there was no place for me to put my gimbal.
No.
So I could not record video, but I did record audio. So hopefully if those, I haven't checked them yet, but if the audio is good and clean and audible, definitely will release those as episodes. And then I'm also considering doing an episode. Well, the 3rd episode while you're gone might be up for debate.
Ooh.
Because we got an email that I need to talk to you about to see if we need to pursue it. So that might be something that I do while you're traversing through Italy. So we'll talk off air about that. But while Morgan is gone, all that to say, there will be Supergirl Radio content for your listening ears if you would like to do that, to check those out. Well, I think that is going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And we would like to thank Jimmy Olsen for his emotional maturity.
McGurk! I love typing.
Not mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira. I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor Boardroom or Ballroom, because her outfit,
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!